the strength in silence and surrender. There comes a time in every person's life when the noise becomes too much. The opinions, the expectations, the demands, the endless striving to keep up, to prove yourself, to be seen, to be enough. And in that moment, when the world feels too loud, the soul begins to whisper a truth we've forgotten. That sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is not to fight harder, not to speak louder, not to push through with more force, but to be still, to listen, to surrender. Silence and surrender, two words that our modern world doesn't celebrate. We are taught to chase, to control, to always have an answer, a plan, a next move. We are told that winners never stop, that strength means never slowing down. But the truth is, real strength is not found in the noise. It's found in the quiet courage to sit in stillness and trust that you are being guided, even when you cannot see the way. There is a strength that lives in silence, a strength that doesn't shout, but speaks in whispers. It's the strength of a heart that chooses peace over chaos, faith over fear, surrender over control. It's the strength of the woman who sits in prayer even when the answers don't come. It's the strength of the man who walks through loss with quiet grace, who chooses trust when life makes no sense. Silence is not weakness, it's awareness. It's the moment you stop chasing validation and start listening to your inner wisdom. It's when you realize that you don't have to rush to respond. You don't have to force things to happen. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. Silence reminds you that everything that is truly meant for you will find its way, not through struggle, but through alignment. We've been conditioned to think that doing more means being more. But sometimes growth happens not in motion, but in stillness. Flowers don't bloom by force. They bloom by surrendering to the process. Seeds break open in the dark before they rise into the light. The caterpillar must dissolve into nothing before becoming the butterfly. Transformation happens when we surrender to what is, not when we resist it. There will come a season in your life when everything goes quiet. The calls stop, the doors close, the plans fall apart. And in that silence, fear will whisper, "You're being forgotten." But I want you to remember, you are not being forgotten. You are being prepared. That silence is not rejection, it's protection. That pause is not punishment, it's positioning. Life is moving pieces behind the scenes that you can't see yet. Surrender is the art of trusting the unseen. It's saying, I don't have all the answers, but I trust that everything unfolding before me is for my highest good. It's not about giving up, it's about giving over. It's about releasing what you cannot control and resting in the knowing that what's meant for you will never miss you. When you stop trying to control every outcome, you open yourself to miracles. When you stop chasing what isn't aligned, you make space for what is. When you stop forcing doors that won't open, you allow the right ones to swing wide with ease. This is the beauty of surrender. It doesn't take your power away, it returns it to you. Think about the strongest people you've ever met. They're not always the loudest, the busiest, the most visible. Often they're the ones who learned how to be still when everything was falling apart. They're the ones who didn't panic when life shifted. They're the ones who stood in silence and said, even in this storm, I will trust. That is the kind of strength that can't be taught. It's cultivated in surrender. You see, silence teaches you who you are when the world is no longer telling you who to be. It strips away the noise, the masks, the roles. It leaves you face to face with your truth. And it's in that stillness that you discover your real voice, the one that doesn't come from ego, but from the soul. We often resist silence because it reveals what we've been avoiding, the unhealed wounds, the fears we've buried, the emotions we've suppressed. But silence is not here to hurt you. It's here to heal you. It's in the stillness that your heart begins to speak, that your intuition rises, that clarity returns. It's in silence that you finally hear what your soul has been trying to tell you all along. Surrender too is a sacred teacher. It asks you to lay down the need to control, to stop fighting what life is asking you to release. It invites you to trust that there is a divine order, a purpose, a rhythm to everything. You don't need to know the how, you just need to have faith in the why. I know it's hard. I know you've been taught that surrender means failure, that silence means inaction, that letting go means losing. But the truth is, some of the most extraordinary things in life happen the moment you stop trying to control everything. You stop clinging and suddenly your hands are open to receive. You stop speaking and suddenly you hear divine guidance. You stop pushing and suddenly what you've been chasing flows effortlessly toward you. There is a strength that comes from letting go of what you thought your life was supposed to look like and embracing what it's becoming. There is peace in knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep showing up with faith, with trust, with open hands and an open heart. Silence is not the absence of life. It is where life begins again. It's in the still moments that creativity awakens, ideas form, healing happens. It's in surrender that grace flows, opportunities arise, and miracles unfold. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the silence that scared you was the very thing that saved you, that the surrender that broke you was the very thing that freed you, that the stillness you resisted was where your strength was born. The world will try to convince you that you must always be doing, achieving, performing, but your soul is whispering something different. Be still. You don't need to chase what's already yours. You don't need to prove what's already true. You don't need to hold on to what is asking to be released. So breathe deeply, inhale peace, exhale control. Stop fighting the current and let yourself flow with it. Trust that where you are is not a mistake. Trust that even the silence is sacred. Trust that surrender doesn't take you backward. It propels you forward in ways you cannot yet understand. Because in the silence, you remember who you are. In the surrender, you remember who's guiding you. And in both, you find a strength that cannot be shaken, a strength that doesn't come from doing more, but from finally allowing yourself to be. So when the noise becomes too much, when the path seems unclear, when the waiting feels unbearable, don't fight it. Sit in the silence, rest in surrender, trust the process. The universe, God, the divine, they are not absent. They are working quietly, beautifully behind the scenes. And one day you'll wake up and realize the silence was not a pause. It was preparation. The surrender was not the end. It was the beginning. You will see that you were never lost. You were being led home back to yourself. That is the strength in silence. That is the power in surrender. And that quiet, sacred, unshakable peace is where your real transformation begins.